Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Spooky Japan Podcast. Today, we are very happy to have our very special guest, Allie Rose. She is an author of Ghost Girl and The Door is Open, I believe is your other book. Yeah, so we're
Yes,
very
yeah, that
happy
would
to
be my
have her
second.
on here to talk about those. Also, Irene and I love having women on our show just because we love supporting women in paranormal. We
Yeah,
understand the struggles women in paranormal go through, obviously. Not that
yeah,
we don't love our male friends out there for any of you guys listening.
yeah,
Yeah, I was like, I need to point that out.
yeah.
But we
We
know,
still love our male friends, we love our
yeah, that's what
female
I'm saying.
friends
I'm
too.
like, the guys listening, we just understand the struggle with the women
Yeah,
in the paranormal.
yeah. It's hard enough as it is,
Yeah.
don't make it harder.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So do you want to go ahead and tell everyone about your two books?
Yeah, sure. My first book, Ghost Girl, is about my childhood growing up in a haunted house. Um, I had a lot of really crazy experiences in that house. And basically, those experiences led to me being interested in investigating the paranormal.
Hmm.
And I started at a very young age. And the book also kind of covers that, like my first ever investigations as a young teenager and how those went and some things I learned. And the second book is more about my more recent experiences as a more seasoned paranormal investigator. And I also reflect a bit about things that happened in my childhood, like ghost experiences that I had that I see in a different light now as an adult.
Hmm.
And I go a bit more into like how my spiritual views have changed since I was a child and things like that, basically.
Sounds like an interesting book. That's why I also wanted to make sure we brought it up because I was looking at them too earlier. Is that kind of like where your interest in the paranormal started? Was in when you were younger?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. From the time I had my first ever experience, I was just fascinated with it.
I grew up in a haunted house too, and I always tell people I wish I could go back now and help my younger me. Just because
Yes.
at the time I was so scared. I mean,
Hmm.
Irene can tell you I had abilities, but I was also it was more scared because I grew up in a as a Baptist minister's daughter, and they had that view of everything's demon, and there's
Yep.
Hmm.
it's demon in
Yeah,
disguise.
yeah,
They're not actually friendly. They're trying to trick you, and they're gonna hurt you. And it's just
Yeah.
as a child, it was the scariest thing. And I wish I could go back and
yeah.
kind of help myself because I'm like, I don't even know exactly what it was that I was seeing now. Of
Hmm.
course, everything to me was bad, but and I was like, I wish I could go back and actually, figure out what it was if it needed help compared to,
Hmm.
you
Yeah.
know,
You
Yeah.
find that you close it off in your head, right? And you just block it away and you pretend that it's not there anymore. But then you have to find out, you have to reopen all those doors and have to kind of like review those images and feelings that you have, and emotions, and bring it back again. It's kind of like hard after you blocked it off for so many years, so you have to
Yes.
revisit it yourself
mhm,
again.
Yes. That is
So
exactly what The Door is Open is about because after the experiences I had as a child, I absolutely closed myself off for
yeah,
many years.
yeah,
yeah,
that's her
Um
cat.
and
yeah.
it took me a long time to finally get to a point where I felt safe enough to
Yeah.
um open back up to that part of my life, which has been a huge part of my life
Hmm.
literally from like as long as I can remember.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what The Door is Open is
Yeah.
mostly about.
Yeah.
And getting back into that field has been incredibly rewarding,
Hmm.
because I'm finally able to see those things in a different light and
Hmm.
that I'm passionate about, and it's opened
Mm-hmm.
all kinds of doors, hence the
Yeah.
name.
Yeah.
Um, and that to like amazing experiences that I never would have thought that I would be able to have.
Mm-hmm. How does your friends and everyone else view what you do if
Um,
if you talk to them about it?
oh, yeah, no, I do. My friends, they have all been supportive. Even the
That's
friends
great.
that I have that aren't really like big believers, some of them are
Mm-hmm.
skeptics, but
Mm-hmm.
like I respect that because seeing is believing for so many
Yeah.
people.
And you know
And
what? It's always
yeah,
good to have a good skeptic there because it keeps us in line, right? And say, okay,
exactly.
is this real and this is not? Okay,
Yeah,
yeah, and okay, keep a positive view about it. I love that.
yeah,
That's
exactly. My husband is actually like the biggest skeptic, but it helps keep me grounded a
yeah,
lot.
yeah,
Because sometimes I'll get really excited and he'll be like, "Hey, let's debunk this." And debunking is a huge important part of any kind of paranormal research.
yeah.
So it really helps to have him there
Mhm.
to help me do that when I
Yeah,
need to.
like say, oh, wait, stop, 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 stop. No, calm down.
Yeah,
Okay,
exactly.
let's take a look at this again. Where was that? Where was that? And he said, sometimes, oh, shut up! I found it. Okay, you don't like it too bad.
No, we've had a group.
Exactly.
We've had a group on the show where one of the members is a skeptic, and they're the ones going around making sure they're debunking everything. I'm like, I feel like almost every team should have a skeptic for this reason: is they don't
Mhm.
automatically jump to it's paranormal.
Conclusion.
You're like, okay, what else could have caused this? What's going
Yeah,
on with this? And it's just
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like that is a very important part of
yeah,
paranormal research in general and paranormal investigations. And I try to do that myself a lot, but it definitely helps to have someone else's perspective who
yeah,
is definitely more skeptical just to help with like things that I might not have necessarily thought of.
yeah.
yeah.
It keeps us in line.
Well, it also makes for
Absolutely.
like the video when people are watching it because that person's always like, okay, what are possible scenarios this could have caused this? And it just
Yeah,
makes it better. It helps kind of debunk yourself.
yeah.
Yeah,
Making
yeah,
sure the AC is off, making sure there's
Yeah.
no extra lights in the room or outside that could come in the room and stuff like that. Yeah, it's important.
yeah,
Usually it's the skeptic who's the most logical
Yeah.
in
yep,
there, but
Oh yeah.
also the
absolutely.
more technical minded where they're really going every going at every going at it at every angle.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Compared
yeah.
to what we could do, we could. Oh, but I saw that. I saw that. I saw that. Okay, what did you really think? But I did. I did. I did.
That was literally a bug.
Yeah.
Or I've been in a situation where it was just timing too, where they said where someone in a group said, "Give me a sign." One of the door slams shut. That person who asked them to give them a sign, ran out of the house,
Hmm.
and of course, the
Yeah.
person who's skeptic was just like, "All right, let me go see." And oh, this window was open.
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Yeah,
windy, so
Yeah.
you ran
exactly.
out. I was like, well, even if it was paranormal, that's just rude. It'd be like, hey, let me know you're here. You let them know you're there,
Yeah.
and you run out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or you ask for a sign and then they give you a sign and then you start running out the door and said, "But you asked me to give you a sign, right? So I
That's
gave
like,
you the sign. So what the heck? You know, like really? You know, you're gonna start running now? Okay. Yeah. Bye. Keep on going. I don't know.
Yeah, this one time I was at Paracon last year, and my group and I were exploring part of the tunnels of Penhurst,
Mhm.
because the Paracon was at Penhurst, and
Mhm.
we heard this weird like muffled noise, and we were
Mhm.
like, what on earth was that? And
Mhm.
my husband saw like a window like up
Mhm.
toward the top of the ceiling that like we hadn't seen, and it
Mhm.
turns out that the noise had been Tanner from Project Fear and the line outside laughing. So we got scared by someone laughing.
I bet you would have gone there. You would have gone. You
Yep, it happens to the best of us.
like you tried to scare the hell out of me.
Pretty much exactly.
I love that. I love that. I love that. Not that you do get scared, but it really startles you when you hear something. You go, "Now, what the heck was that?" Right?
Yeah,
and
we were like,
and then your head
oh.
starts thinking all kinds of crazy things. Right?
Yeah,
your
yeah,
mind goes.
exactly.
Your mind goes first, and you go, "Okay, I just heard something. Right? Was that you? No, that wasn't me. Was that you? No, that was something else." You go, "Ooh, what the heck was that?" Right?
Yeah, that was pretty much what our conversation sounded like. We were just like,
Yeah.
what the heck was that? And then we were
Yeah.
like, okay, all right, let's try to debunk it. I can't find a way to debunk it. My husband was like, wait, there's a window up there. And we were just like, oh, that makes a lot of sense.
They're
And
always
then
the most logical.
yeah. Everyone's going, "Oh my god!" Like this, right?
But it makes evidence that like you can't debunk even more strong
Yeah.
when like nobody can find a reason behind it.
Yeah.
Or like a likely reason behind it.
Yeah.
So that makes it even more compelling. So
Yeah.
that's like another reason why like debunking is really important.
Yeah. And sometimes you just can't debunk it because it happened once, and there's nothing there except the room, the the, the feeling in the room, and that's it. And then
Yeah.
you're wondering, what the heck was that? And he said, and everyone else said, "I don't know. Did you move?" No, 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 no. Nobody was doing anything. They were standing right there with you, and you're watching it, and something moves, and you go, "Uh oh!" Like, yeah. And they try to debunk it, and they can't because it was a once in a lifetime movement. And yeah, and it said, but that is paranormal. You know that, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. It's just part of. Yeah.
Did the
It's just a
cat say
ghost.
there's anything paranormal in her house, Irene?
A little bit. It's hiding. Like it comes out like this and it goes back in again.
That's spooky.
Don't worry about it.
I mean, it's friendly.
Possibly.
Hold on.
It's not really. I'm hearing grandma or somebody like that. I just heard grandma.
I'm so sorry, my screen just froze for like the longest time and I didn't hear part of what just happened. So what
See?
is happening at the moment?
See, that's what happens. When you hear something paranormal that happens, it makes your electronics go like this. So I'm hearing grandma.
Oh, grandma.
I'm hearing grandma.
Huh.
I'm hearing the word grandma, grandma, grandma.
Like for you or for me?
For you.
I get that a lot. I've had a lot of people tell me that. I am not sure. Um, it might be like my great grandmother, because she did die when I was little, and I had an experience at her house, when I was there staying with the rest of my family for her funeral.
Yeah.
So I've always wondered if maybe she's kind of like just around and with me. I've had a lot of people tell me that a grandmother figure is,
Mm.
but I'm not sure if it's her or if it's like a great grandmother. But yeah, that's interesting because I've had a lot of people tell me that.
She has a white ruffled blouse, a brooch on her neck, going sideways. It's a blue stone.
Yeah.
And it's a gold brooch. And she's got really, and it comes down here, her blouse. It's almost like she's wearing a dark blue or black jacket on top of it. uh, she's got she's got a long, wide dress, like you know what they wear in the 1800s, like in the
Yeah.
Victorian era. That's the kind of clothes she's wearing, and she's got ruffles on her blouse, and she's wearing long sleeves. I know that's why you're hearing it. Okay, I can hear it. Okay, you got it. You're telling me. Okay, and she's got her hair done up in the bun like this in the back. She's got long
Interesting.
hair, so she doesn't have bangs. It's just like this, and it's all the way back, and it's her hair's done up with like a really tight bun in the back. She's really
Interesting.
small. She doesn't have a big face. She has a very small face.
Huh. Yeah, that sounds like it might be like a great grandmother or
Yeah,
something
yeah.
because because I mean it could have been my like great grandmother. That also could be like a great grandmother.
Hmm.
Because my great grandmother, she I didn't see her like she was very elderly when I was born. So um I didn't really see her a lot, and, when I did, she wasn't she wasn't dressed super, like, fancy,
No.
because she was just really elderly,
Hmm.
but, that could have been how she dressed when she was younger,
Yeah.
and, that was my first thought, and, maybe, like, but also that could have maybe been a great grandmother or
Hmm.
something like that,
Yeah.
um, but yeah.
She's saying that to. Okay, I can hear them. Okay, I can hear them talk. She's
Yeah.
saying to me, I'm with you when you go out and do your investigation. She said, I support you. Um, she said, I'm just making sure that you're safe. That's
Oh.
all.
Well,
Yeah.
that's nice. That's good to hear.
She's also saying that, was she married?
Yeah, I think that he had passed away before she did.
Yeah, he's with her and they're both together. He's in the back more, but she's out front more because I think she's a really strong woman. Okay. She has a really
Yeah.
strong aura to her. So
Yeah,
she's
that
out
makes
front
sense.
more, and he's in the back, and they're both there together, and he's watching. They're both watching you, and he said a couple of times I had to stir away these other mm, spirits that I didn't like. He said they weren't up to any good. He said they weren't up to any good. They were
Yeah.
kind of bad, and so he said he had to protect you from that and had to chase them away from your presence. So
Yeah,
that's
that makes sense.
so that's what he was saying to me. And she's saying, "Well, leave her alone. You know, she's doing what she likes to do, okay?" And then and then it you get good and bad together. You know, they both work together. And yeah, I said yes, that's true because you can't have good without the bad, right? It makes the skills go together. And she said, "But leave her alone." And he goes, "No, I don't. I don't want anything to come after her. You know, I'm protecting her." like, and they're both going at it. I said, "Okay, you guys can go at it some other time. Okay, we're doing this show. Okay." Sometimes I have to do that, because they go at it in heaven. And I'm saying, "Okay, this is not the time and the place to do it. Okay, just protect your granddaughter. Okay, be happy that she's here and be happy that she's with you and be happy that you're protecting her. That's all." See, this is a conversation I have, and I go, here we go again.
It happens.
Yeah, it happens. But yeah, she's saying that she's here and she's protecting it. That they're both protecting you and they're happy that what you're doing is what you're doing it. Your passion.
That means a lot. That's
Yeah,
really good to hear for sure.
yeah. Um, um, frightening moments for
What was
you.
that?
Frightening moments.
What was your most frightening moment you had? Maybe like
The
an
Yeah,
investigation or a haunted moment.
the most frightening moment?
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So I've had a few, but there was one in particular that was super traumatizing.
Hmm.
So during an investigation at least.
Hmm.
So my friends and I, when we were about 14, uh
Okay.
Yeah, that was around the age I first started investigating. So that I was a very amateur investigator back then. Like did not have a clue what I was doing. But my friends and I, we had this little group that we would go to various places in our town that were haunted and
Mm-hmm.
investigate with what we had.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and we went to this really creepy, like almost abandoned cemetery. And yeah. And so we were there and it had just started getting dark and a lot of weird things had started happening. And like things like my phone had died. And so I put it in my backpack and all of a sudden it turned on and started blaring music by itself when it had literally been dead. So I took it out of my backpack and it still said 0% battery and was blaring music. And right as that happened, we heard a female voice talking and then
Oh
we
gosh.
turned around and saw there we had actually seen this before but we saw it again, the shadow figure standing over by one of the graves, and we just got this like horrible sense that we were being chased and like something did not want us there, so we started running. And as we were running out of the cemetery, I was looking around and I was seeing people's heads peek out from behind trees. And it was just like we got this really really bad feeling. It's hard to explain. um but so we get in the car and my mom who was waiting for us drove us off and we were like, did you see that? And turns out my friends had also seen the heads peeking out from behind the trees, and we had all felt that just general sense that we were being chased out.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, I'm never going back there again, but I actually did recently. And nothing happened. It was a lot more peaceful this time because it was being taken better care of, the cemetery.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that the spirits were probably just mad that
Yeah.
the cemetery had been discarded, and then there we were, a bunch of 14-year-old kids, going in there like,
Snooping
hey,
around.
talk to us. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that they were probably just angry. They weren't bad spirits. They were just mad, rightfully so. I understand. So that's another thing. It's like, looking back at that with a different mindset
Mm-hmm.
has, really helped. So even though
Mm-hmm.
that experience was terrifying when I was a kid, I know that the spirits did not mean harm.
No. Sometimes they just come out to say, "Who are you? Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing here?" Like they don't really mean to like give you a bird egg or anything like that. They don't mean to really hurt you. They just don't. Some of them are really nice. Like, who is she? Who are they? What are they doing here?
Yeah,
Attitude,
exactly.
attitude.
Exactly. And for
But
someone
you
that,
notice that
yeah,
spirits like to pop up around trees. I don't know why, but I get a lot of photos with their faces in the trees. Like,
yeah,
why is that? I still haven't figured that out. But anyways, go on.
yeah. So like I live in like the Appalachian region of the
Hmm.
US, and so there's a lot of stuff peeking out from behind trees. That's a
Yeah,
really common thing.
yeah.
Um and it's definitely really creepy. I don't know why that's a thing that a lot of spirits choose to do, but I think
Mhm.
sometimes they're doing it because they know that we think it's creepy and they're messing with us. Honestly, or they're just genuinely hiding. They're like, who are you?" Just like you
Yeah.
were saying.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I've definitely seen that a time or two.
If I was a ghost, I'd just be going to like the more popular haunted places that people are investigating just to mess
Yeah.
with people.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah.
Yep. I would, if I really liked the group, I would give them really good EVPs though.
Mm.
There's some you'd really mess with, and I call them the TikTok investigators just because
Yeah.
everyone knows what I'm referring to when I say this. The ones that aren't true investigators, they're just doing it for the views. Sometimes
Yeah.
you want some fake stuff to get the views. I'd be like, "Well, you
Yeah.
get fake evidence. I'm gonna mess with you."
Yeah. No, absolutely. Because it's like you guarantee if they actually had something real happen, they would not handle it well.
Yeah.
But
Oh
yeah,
dear.
I use TikTok as a platform to tell my stories. And I do investigations live on there, but I don't like ask for money or like fake anything. That's it's like if things are happening constantly in a live video every single time you go live, it's probably not real, because most investigations, a lot of it is just sitting there waiting for something to happen.
Yeah.
And like I like to show that because that's like it's like how it really is. um and it's not always as glamorous as a lot of shows on TV.
Yeah.
But like there are definitely moments like that, and a lot
Yeah.
of times the TV shows will take all those big moments and put them together and edit
Yeah.
out the parts where nothing happened, which is understandable because it's for entertainment.
Yeah.
And I definitely had things happen
Yeah.
in live investigations that I've done
Yeah.
on
Sometimes what
TikTok.
people don't also know is it wasn't just one night; it was multiple nights.
Yeah.
They just
Yeah,
make
there's
it look
that
like
too.
one night, and then they cram it together.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've
exactly,
heard of that
exactly.
too.
Yeah. You're sitting there waiting. And it is a waiting game, like who's gonna fall first.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
And
their
like
own winning game, and most people don't realize that going
Yeah.
into investigations. They watched it on TV. They're like, "This looks a lot of fun." And
yeah.
I did a lot of the public ghost hunts where they ended early because it was a lot of those kind of people are just like, I'm gonna do this because it looks fun on TV, and then they were just like, this is, and then the person who's running it comes up to me like, well, we're ending early because they're leaving because they're not getting anything. I'm like, one time we're not even in the first hour yet. I'm like, seriously? They're like, yeah. Like,
Oh
what did
my
you expect?
gosh. Yeah, like you're gonna probably sit there for a while with absolutely nothing happening. Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah.
Not all investigators are psychics or mediums
No.
on some
No.
level.
No, yeah, I just saw that question. No, not I wouldn't say all investigators are. A lot of us
No.
are like sensitive in general to that stuff
Mhm.
because we have just been around it a lot, but being
Mhm.
sensitive is different from being like a psychic or like a
Yeah.
medium.
And a lot of investigators usually bring one, or usually come back with one
Yeah.
if they find something. So it's not always a case where they will all go together and see something. They usually like to debunk it, make sure that they saw it, and if they did see it, they bring back a psychic medium to confirm what they saw. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it helps if you're a psychic and if you're a medium, if you can see it. It helps the investigators to prove what's there and what's not there. So it does help.
Yeah. And like in some cases like the psychic or the medium would know like which rooms or which areas you'd be more likely to get more communication because they would know that there's something they're more willing to communicate. um from what I've like heard. I have some
And be
friends who are
careful not to touch certain things that are really sensitive to the spirits, because they will come up and they will attack you. Like, I've heard a lot of people get scratched because you did something you're not supposed to do. I usually say, like,
yep.
what did you do wrong? And you're like, well, I did this. I said, shame on you.
Yeah.
Irene
um
does remote viewing now, so
oh,
Yeah.
awesome.
she can tell you. I have the gift too, and I'm coming more into it. I blocked it off for a number of years due to growing up as a minister's daughter, as I mentioned earlier. And it was, and basically a lot of Christians believe that if you have the gift, you're doing witchcraft, or
Yep.
Yeah.
you're doing something to summon a devil, or
Yeah.
you somehow did something to get a demon attachment, or
Yeah.
you're possessed by a demon. And me as a child, crying. I'm like, no, especially when the only thing I knew back then about, especially when you're being accused of witchcraft, and
Yeah.
me being as young as I was, the only thing
Yeah.
I knew about witches was like the Hocus Pocus movie. And I'm like, I'm
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
doing that.
No.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about witchcraft, I swear, but no one believes you because it's
Yeah.
just, well, you're seeing them, so you have to be doing something. I'm like, I'm not.
Yeah.
I
No,
don't know
I
how to
know how
prove
that
I'm not.
feels. Yeah, it's like, well, you must have done
Me.
something because for God to allow the demons to attack you. It's like, what?
Yeah, that's what I kept saying. I'm like, but I'm not.
It's like
I
I'm
didn't.
literally not. I'm just existing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um the house I grew up in, like most spirits do not mean any harm, but I will say that a lot of the spirits in the house I grew up in were very negative. So
Mm.
that was a great introduction to the spirit world because
Yeah.
for a while I assumed that everything was like that, but it's not.
No.
It's not.
I feel like that was kind of like the house I grew up in. And
Yeah.
it was also a lot of people don't believe. A lot of people don't believe that this could have happened because we stayed in the church's parsonage, obviously, with my dad being a minister, and people it's just like, even the church was haunted with them. A lot of people are just like, churches can't be haunted. Your house is also on holy ground. That can't be haunted. I'm like, a lot of churches actually are, and
Yeah.
the people who have investigated haunted churches, they're just like, yeah, no, I believe you. I've been in haunted churches, but you also, of course, a lot haunted. Think about all the energy that's in there. You
Yeah.
have the happiest days of people's lives, like weddings, saddest days of people's lives, like funerals, with all that
Yeah.
energy. But also think about the kind of people who are there every Sunday. Now, there are some regular people, so anyone listening who says I'm putting down everyone goes to church, I'm not.
Yeah.
Some normal people go there to church, but there are some people who are there just to sin the rest of the 6 days of the week,
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
or they just go
Absolutely.
there to feel better about themselves, or the people who are there to basically feel holier and judge people. And I'm like, yeah, all that energy, trust me.
Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
It's
Like,
like a pocket full of energy. They have their own portals and their own areas in the church, and yeah, you have a lot of crazy stuff happening. Um, the one that I used to go to has a has an area outside where it has Mother Mary praying, and there's a whole bunch of spirits all around it because that area is you light candles for the dead who have died, who you pray for, and man, they all congregate in that one little area, and it's like, wow,
yeah.
it's
Yeah,
just
it's Ghost Girl and the Door is Open. Is her book?
yep,
Oh, yeah. Yes. You can find them on Amazon. And one of them is available as a Kindle. Yeah.
I love it. Um, Fantastic moments being a paranormal investigator. Your
Well,
fantastic moments.
They're about her experiences as
Yeah,
an investigator and growing up in a haunted house. So
yeah.
nonfiction.
What
uh,
is your fantastic moments doing what you do?
my fantastic moments.
Yeah, like I'm glad I do what I do. I'm so yeah.
Oh wow. Well, like one of those things is I actually had a really memorable experience a couple months back. I went to the former children's orphanage in Gettysburg,
Mm-hmm.
and while my group and I were there, we got a lot of because that location had a lot of pain and like horrible things happened to those kids. And the kids were, based on responses that we got, they were really happy that they had someone to talk to who is just there to play with them and to have fun and to, hear about their lives and, you know, it just be peaceful,
Mm-hmm.
really. And
Mm-hmm.
it was the first investigation of the season, so they had actually, the orphanage had been not open to the public for at least a couple months, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so for that to be lonely like that, and then for someone to come in and just be like, hey guys, let's just all talk, let's hang out, let's play, not trying to talk too much about the past,
No.
like the trauma they went through, just talking about themselves. They were really happy that we were there, and by the end they told us not to go, and they thanked us, and
Mm.
we promised we'd be back, so we definitely will be back soon. But it was just really impactful to hear that, like, to know that, like, we were able to make spirits that suffered a lot feel a bit better for a while,
Mm-hmm.
just because I think it's important to, on an investigation, especially if it's somewhere that people have suffered, it's important to try not to bring up that trauma too much. Like, I understand that asking about that might get answers, and I think like sometimes asking a little bit about it is all right depending on the situation. But
Yeah.
like a lot of people, I feel like a lot of investigators might go in there and be like, hey, so how were you tortured here? And it's like they don't want to talk about that.
No.
Like we were just asking stuff like, what's your favorite color? Like, what's your name? Do you want to play with this toy? Things like that.
Yeah.
And I think it was probably refreshing. And especially after having gone a while without really having a lot of interaction. But yeah, that investigation was really, really active, and a lot of it was in a positive way because I think that they were happy to have people there to just be friendly.
I get two of the children, a boy and a girl, come to me and said, next time when you go, bring me back some hard candy and chocolate.
Okay. I'll do it.
They just came to me and said that. And I said, okay, I'll tell her.
Yeah, I'll do it.
I think, oh well, that's what I get every once in a while.
Yeah.
I had a friend say, okay, you want to come in with me to a retirement home that's been closed down? And I go, okay, yeah. And the old lady came to me over here and she said, don't forget to bring me the chocolate. And I said, oh, chocolate? Oh, okay, how do you know I'm going? You're like, we just talked about it on the phone on Messenger. And she goes, yeah, I want you to bring me some chocolate. And I had to phone my friend and said, hey, this old lady came to me. She's dead, like, from a long time ago. She says, bring me back some chocolate. He goes, you're kidding, right? And I go, So my friend had to go out and get chocolate the next day before we came on. Yeah, it happens. But I mean, like, food like that is really good props because they'll come closer to you and they'll talk to you more, and then they'll even hold your hand too if they do that.
Yeah.
It's just interesting. And if you bring back a Furby, or if you bring a teddy bear that
Not
bleeps,
Furbies.
yeah, teddy bears or Furbies or something like that.
Yeah.
Have you seen the new Furbies? They're creepier.
Oh, no. I don't know if I've seen the new ones, but I know the old ones terrified me.
Yeah, the old ones. I'm talking about the old ones.
I don't know what it is, and that's what I was explaining yesterday. I'm like, I don't know what it is about Furbies. When they first came out, almost everyone had one, but they were so freaked out by it.
Yeah. Like, why did we have them?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. I'm like, I had one. I don't even know why, because it creeped me out. You don't want to play with it.
Well, they would turn on at like 3 a.m. and start making like ungodly noises. And it was just like, why? Like, who designed these?
I heard a lot of people had that issue with them. Like, some people even took batteries out, and they were just like, it still somehow turned on at 3 a.m.
Oh my God.
Well, the haunting hours between 2 and 4 a.m., right? So,
yeah.
3 a.m. is supposed to be like the devil's hour.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Plot twist. All Furbies are haunted. I'm kidding.
Who needs the Ouija board when you can just bring a Furby?
They're probably going to come to you and say, you told me my Furby was haunted.
I don't need a spirit box or Ouija board. I'll just bring the Furby.
Just bring the Furby.
Just bring the Furbies. I got a little mole that's sitting on my table, and when you turn it on, when you say something, it repeats what you say. And so I just turn it off and keep it off up there because I don't want anything coming. Not in the night, no thanks. And it hasn't done that, so thank God for that.
Oh my God.
Make sure it doesn't happen, okay? Yeah, but strange things happen. Go bump in the night as usual, right? Especially what you do, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You said, "Oh gosh, I hope I didn't bring that home with me."
Yeah.
You stay there, and I'll go home. Okay.
I had something follow me. He's not too bad though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I had a spirit follow me from Gettysburg. And his name is Steve.
Mm-hmm.
And I know this because every time I interact with him, all he ever says is Steve. Literally to any question I ask, he says Steve. So I first like had that experience in Gettysburg over the spirit box.
Mm-hmm.
And so a really long time later, I was at another investigation, like way like in at Penhurst, and he came through the spirit box then. And then every
Mm-hmm.
time I go back to Gettysburg, he
Mm-hmm.
comes through if I ask for him to. And then I went to Florida and asked for him to come through, and he came through. Every time he actually comes through. So he kind of just follows me around. And just I mean, I guess the thing he does is just say his name, kind of like Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy, I guess. um, but
I,
yeah, he's an interesting character for sure.
you know what? He's saying to me, even though he only says to you, Steve, he's saying to me, I'm watching over her because
I
I don't
feel
trust
like
those other
that.
things. I don't trust those other creatures. Those other creatures he called creatures, spirits. What we call them. He said, I don't trust those other spirits. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
Yeah.
That's my cat.
Irene's cat.
That's my cat. Okay,
Aw.
he's watching. He's watching over us.
He's like, hello.
We're used to the cat putting its face into the podcast, so
Yeah. Um. He's watching this. He's watching the podcast through a different point of view. Anyways. Yeah. Uh. They usually like. They usually pick and choose who they want to watch over.
Yeah.
If there's somebody there that really needs to be cared for, they'll stick to that person, whether you
Yeah.
like it or not, whether you want it or not. Right? You don't have a choice,
Yep, that happens.
and you don't have
Yeah.
a choice. So yeah,
Yeah.
it's and he says, "I mean no harm. Don't be afraid of me. I'm here to help her." Um, because sometimes the dead can be really dangerous. He's saying, and which is true.
Yeah.
Which
Yep.
is true.
Who did he say could be really dangerous?
The dead
Oh
can be
yeah,
dangerous.
yeah,
Spirits can be
absolutely.
dangerous. He said they
Yeah,
can be really dangerous. Just be careful. So I'm just watching over her so that nothing bad comes to her. And I like her too.
that's really nice. Yeah, like I'm not afraid of Steve. I've never gotten bad vibes from Steve
No,
at all.
no,
He gives
no.
me kind of like a playful vibe. So
And it's kind of like a happy person too, you know. I call him a
yeah,
person. I call them people. I still call them people because they were a person, you know. They
yeah.
were a living person, so I still call them a person. I don't know why.
I mean, it makes
I don't.
sense.
I don't call them a dead. I call them a person. I said people in person as if they're still living because they were once and they still are as far as I'm concerned, right? So they're still people.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
sometimes it's
So,
nice having that protection on the other side, though. Like the house I lived in before I moved to Japan, it wasn't what I was looking for, and everyone asked me why I moved in there, and it's if you're not into paranormal, you wouldn't understand. But it
yeah.
was I didn't pick to live there. The old lady Mary picked me to live there,
Yep.
Hmm.
and she put the
Yeah.
idea in my head. And she's one of those. She was there. It was her house, so you need permission to be in her house. But
Hmm.
she also realizes, on a spirit world, this is my house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Living, I I respect the fact it's your house, and
Hmm.
she always stayed in the opposite end of the house because she's like, we basically had a mutual understanding where she didn't mess with me, I didn't mess with her. People are like, why did you
Yeah.
not investigate? I'm like, we just had a mutual understanding. We just kind of left each other alone.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like she would protect me. Like if I go investigating or go out somewhere and come back, if something followed me, they couldn't enter the house because she was the true Southern grandma type where she raised all boys. All her grandsons are all boys. So she's that tough Southern grandma. She literally was, where it's just like, you're not entering this house unless I let you. And more likely, she wasn't going to let you. Because
Yeah.
other psychics are just like, are you sure that she's okay with you? Because I every time I, mention her, psychics would try to connect with her. And she'd be like, what are you doing in my house? I'm like, it's because you're a stranger and you didn't have her permission to have your energy
Yeah.
enter the house.
Yeah. That makes
She's
sense.
okay with me. Yeah. She's okay with me.
Yeah.
She's like, I understand this is your house. Energy wise,
Hmm.
you need my
Yeah.
permission to be in here.
Yeah.
Okay.
You all go on.
Yeah, basically, like there's nothing could enter that house because she was just like,
Yeah,
"This is I protect this house. You're not entering my house."
yeah,
Yeah.
So anything energy wise or spirit wise would not be able to enter that house. No.
yeah.
Well, that's
Outside
good
of
to
it, I was
have.
on my own. If I once I left the house, you could feel it. But I'm like inside that house, I knew I was protected.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's definitely good to have for
Yeah.
Yeah.
sure.
And you wonder why that when you think that, well, I could have had an accident, or I could have fell, or it could have hurt me, and then something there was helping you, so you won't get hurt, right? Or
Yeah.
you wouldn't get stabbed, or you wouldn't get hit on the head, or something. It's just, yeah, that I could have been really badly injured. I wonder why. I didn't get injured. Well, there you go.
Yeah. Like somebody was watching out for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um. What is your most daring place that you want to go to?
The the most uh the most what?
Daring
Sorry.
places like, I got a question. I gotta think, but I gotta find more.
Basically,
How
do you
would
have
you
a
say?
bucket list of where you want to
Yeah.
investigate?
Oh, yeah. So I like the top of my bucket list for paranormal places is Waverly Hills Asylum in Louisville, Kentucky.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've heard it's like one of the most haunted places in the world.
It it is.
And yeah, I have always wanted to go there. I really hope to go there at least in the next few years. I have friends who kind of live out that way. So I'll be able to like have somebody to go with if my team can't go, and my
Mm-hmm.
friends will go either way, obviously. And so we kind of have like plans that are up in the air to go on an investigation there soon. Don't know when yet, but that's going to be surreal cuz like I've always wanted to go there.
Is there any daring place that you want to go to that you really haven't picked up enough? Well, yeah, I'm gonna go, but yeah, I'm scared. Like,
Yeah, so oh gosh, there's a few of those. There's some place so probably Sweet Spring Sanatorium in like West Virginia. I know that I'm going to go there someday, but like I'm really scared. Cuz like it takes a lot to scare me with this kind of stuff, but there have been things that have happened to some people I know that are just really, really, really extra creepy there. So I'm a little bit nervous about that. But I mean, I still want to do it. There are some places that I would not go, just because I really don't like to mess with like negative stuff. And some places are just like they just have a lot of negativity, and I try to stay away from those as best as I can. But Sweet Springs has kind of a mix. Like there definitely is some negativity there, but there are also spirits that are not. So it's kind of a mix.
but whatever happened to them, I think it's more about them than the place, because I think a lot of people don't check their energy before they go in a place, right?
Yeah.
And so if something happened to them, there's a reason why it happened to them, right? And it's not always the place; it's most likely them
Hmm.
in here, right? Because when you go in a place with a lot of baggage, you're gonna get a lot of baggage.
That's true. That is 100% true. If you're not in the right mindset to go into a certain place, sometimes things will latch onto you in a different way than they might have if
So
you had
what
not.
I'm feeling from that place is that people go in baggage. That's when they get it. That's what they're telling me.
Yeah.
But if you don't have a lot of baggage going in there, you go in the right mindset, the right energy in here, and calm yourself down before you go in there. You'll be okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm feeling right now from it, and that's what I'm hearing. I, you see, what's the hard thing about this podcast is I gotta hear on this ear and I gotta talk on this. So it gets kind of noisy, right, and busy. So yeah,
Yep.
that's what I'm hearing.
All right. Well, that's definitely good to know. Like, I'll make sure that like I try to make sure that I'm in the right mindset before going on investigations, but I, could be extra sure with that
Mhm.
situation, especially since I'm a little nervous about it.
Because
Um,
people will say things, it's
yeah.
like from like Lord knows who, or from somebody that you really don't know them really intensely, or personality you don't know them, and like, yeah, you had a lot of problems, but did you go in there with a really good head on your shoulders when you went
Yeah.
in there? Probably say no. I said, okay, there you go. There's your answer, right? So
Yeah.
I I, I would take it with a grain of salt and just go in there knowing what you know, and know your own energy, and know what you can do, what what you can do, and how far you can go, and just know that part, and just go in there that way and just tackle it, and when you're finished, you're finished. You've done your job, and you know you did good. That's all.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a really good way to look at it. Thank you for that.
People
And
also forget when you enter a place to investigate, you
yeah,
always, regardless of how friendly they are, you always kind of like announce yourself to
mhm,
them, tell them
Yep.
you're just here to talk, not to hurt. Especially here in Japan,
yeah,
people
Yeah.
forget that and they just go in and start setting up. Like even friendly ghosts here would turn unfriendly because to them, it's just like to compare it to, it'd be like, oh, Allie's a friendly person, but this person just kind of barged in her house and
mhm,
Yep.
started saying, "Talk to me."
yeah.
Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
what? Yeah.
"Oh,
And
Yeah,
to
all
talk to
exactly.
you."
setting up all the stupid dumb equipment. They say, "What the heck are you doing in my house, setting up all these dumb equipment? Like, what the heck are you doing? Like, really?"
Yeah,
Mm,
exactly. Like,
well, say,
people
get the
forget they have
house,
feelings, you
get out,
know?
Yeah,
get out.
they're once human.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they
Irene
have feelings.
Irene says she can't even use cat balls, but I'm like, to be fair, Irene, it does when you're clairvoyant, you can talk to them. It doesn't make sense for you to also put out cat balls because they're just like, but I can just talk to you. Why do I also have to press the cat ball?
Yeah,
They told
yeah.
me to get rid of it. I said, okay, I'll get
I'm
rid of
like, well,
it.
it's the equivalent of if we had Allie, like, all right, Allie, hold this cat ball up, and then we're gonna ask you yes, no questions. You answer, then also tap the ball.
Yeah.
They'll, they'll probably throw the ball across the room and say, forget it, now get the hell out of my
I've always wondered about something like that happening. I've just always imagined that. I'm like, imagine if someone just like the cat ball just like went flying across the room.
like,
I'm waiting for that to happen one day in someone's video.
Yeah.
You're like, hey, if you're here, press the cat ball. You just see it just fly.
And it's just like, oh, okay, well, that was an answer.
well, you're gonna do that on your own, Amanda, because I ain't gonna be there with
Yep.
you. 'Cause I don't want to get hit in the head with a freaking cat ball. Okay.
I personally never had luck with the cat balls, but that's just me. But it's
Nah.
like, as someone also pointed out, maybe they don't know what it is and what.
Yeah.
I had some luck with the cat balls. Usually when I have luck with those is when there are children involved.
hmm
Like
Mm.
if when I have been like trying to talk to like adults in locations, usually they don't touch the cat balls, but I in the children's room in a Victorian era house I went to in Florida, I got some luck with the cat ball, and in the orphanage the cat balls were going off a lot, but I don't think I've ever had it go off any other time.
Yeah. Well, maybe I was in the wrong place. Oh well, what the hell?
Yeah.
try try again
It's a
some other
hit and
place.
miss. It's a hit and miss everywhere, though, with everything.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's true.
Well, I didn't know that, right? So I just figured I'd try it out because I don't go with equipment. I don't use anything, right? I just go with me, myself, and I.
Yeah. I mean, that's valid too. That's
But
valid
you
too.
that's pretty hard for other people to see because only I can see it, and you have to understand that not everyone else can see it, right? So
Yeah.
that's the hard part about it, I think. Oh
Yeah.
well.
If you're trying to show evidence, it definitely is easier to use equipment, but if you're just there for the experience and the communication aspect, um yeah, going by yourself is valid. I kind of like do a mix of both because if I'm trying to like show the evidence but also communicate,
hmm
that's when it's good to definitely have a mix of both. But
Yeah.
I think everyone's, method is different. It's, the best, whatever works best for them and their goals.
Hmm.
That's
Yep.
valid.
But it's funny, because Amanda will tell you that you can't go into certain places here because they'll
Yeah.
have boarded off.
Oh, if it's considered haunted, they usually board it off here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
And
there's public parks, but at the same time, can I really put up equipment in public parks? No.
Yeah. That makes
And I
sense.
also can't. And I also can't use I can't use a spirit box because they make too much noise. So I can't walk around a public park and everyone's gonna
Yeah.
be staring at me because it's if you. I mean, if you ever use a spirit box, you know those things are
Oh
loud.
yeah. Oh yeah. Yes, they are. Yeah. Um, I used to investigate my former house when I was a child. When I was like a teenager, I mean. In which I do not recommend investigating your own house.
No, that's yeah.
no.
But at the time I was like, well, I want to know it's here and try to talk to it. Um, I just used like digital recorders and like saw if I got EVPs, which I did.
Hmm.
Um, and that was mostly it because I didn't have like equipment. I was a kid.
Hmm.
And still got some good responses. So
Yep.
just whatever works is whatever
Mhm.
works.
Exactly.
Hmm.
Amanda, what else?
If you've been once you investigate your own house, kind of makes the hauntings worse.
Exactly. And that was exactly what happened. So it's like I definitely don't recommend doing that for sure.
That's why I
I'll be
like
Um,
the unspoken rule of you don't investigate your own house because
yeah.
that is what's going to start making it worse. They're like,
Yep.
well, since you want to start communicating with me, I'm going to do it every day.
Exactly. That was what happened. And the spirits in that house were not friendly, most of them. So it was just a bad idea all around. But I didn't know any better. So now I know though.
I kind of wish growing up, when I felt the spirits, I always wondered they felt unfriendly to me, but I'm like, I wonder looking back at it, I wonder if they were unfriendly or it's just more my, I knew they were there, so the fear.
Yeah, it might have been that. I mean, in my case, like they would like attack my friends.
Mm.
So that and they attacked my dog.
Oh
So
no.
like I definitely don't think they were friendly. I mean, some of them were. Some I mean, I don't know if they're friendly, but like some of them were not negative. But there were some entities in the house that were negative. Especially the one that attacked my dog. That was like a really bad
Yeah,
experience.
yeah, it's my jaw line with my dog too.
Yeah. Yeah, she was trying to protect my little brother.
Oh,
Yeah, it was really sad.
Sorry about that. I'm back.
what types of evidence do you collect? EVPs?
So I do kind of a little bit of everything. I definitely do EVPs. I do a lot with the spirit box. And I do like motion detecting devices like REM pods and things
Hmm.
like that, and also EMF meters, so like K2 meters and things like that.
Hmm.
Those are like the primary investigative tools that I use. But primarily, yeah, just primarily that. But I do a lot with EVP and with Spirit Box. I had my team now has an Ovilus. So that has been interesting. That's like, for those of you who don't know, it's a device that has a word database, and
Mhm.
the spirits can manipulate it and put a word on the screen. And
Hmm.
we had some really interesting experiences with that a couple weeks ago. So pretty much whatever we can, what whatever we can get our hands on. We've just been trying a lot of different kinds of equipment, experimenting with what works. And so far, probably EVP, Spirit Box, and REM Pod are my favorite go-to pieces of equipment.
The piece of equipment that never worked for me, and everything
Yeah.
else I at least got at one point some evidence, but the light grid. The
The
light grid,
what?
like you turn on usually it's a flashlight.
Yes.
Light grid, and I've never once had any evidence come from that.
From
And
the
that's with
flashlight?
other paranormal investigations. You know what I mean? You turn it on, but it also it's red, but it has like the grid on it. It's supposed to be
Yeah, the
spirit
laser
walk.
grid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have one of those. I haven't gotten anything with that either so far.
I've talked to
Yeah,
other teams, and they said that's the one piece of equipment they never got anything from either.
yeah,
Like, I don't I mean, there's, like, one who's like, "Oh, yeah, I got some at one point. You saw the grid break and just gonna go," and I'm like, other than that, I have never once heard, like
yeah. Like, I don't think like I don't think I've ever seen someone have a lot of luck with that. There was a one show like that I am like I don't want to say like I'm like besties with them or anything, but like I'm somewhat acquainted with the members of Project Fear, like as a fan. And like I've met them a couple times. I talk to them every once in a while. And so like when they were Destination Fear, they had a laser grid and they had one time where it looked like a shadow might have moved in front of it. But even
Mm,
they were like, we don't know for sure. Like it could have been like an animal or something. So
yeah.
it's
oh,
hard
yeah.
to tell with
Yeah.
those. Um my team and I have one and I have one personally, but I have not had luck with it so far. But maybe someday though. You never know.
You know, your room has to be sterile, which
Yeah.
meaning you have nothing interfering it. You have to have a, you know, surroundings, right?
Yeah.
Where it's like that. It may work in a house. It may work in maybe a small place where you have control, but it's really difficult when you have a big room and everyone's going all over the place and walking in. Yeah, you
Yeah.
have people investigating, so yeah, it's you have to pick and choose the what equipment you're going to use in
Yep.
that particular place, right?
Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah. And every location, like, is going to differ in
Mhm.
terms of
Yeah.
like what kind of equipment works best. Like
Yeah.
sometimes the spirits are like, I am not going to come through the spirit box, but I will touch the rim pod. And it's like, just like, okay, whatever works for you guys. Like,
It's kind
yeah.
of. Have you ever had a spirit that says, "I'm not going to talk to you. Like I'm not going to listen to you. I'm not going to do this. I'm not going to do that."
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely had experiences where like I was like, hey, so, asking questions and just like go away. I was like, okay.
The ones that I kind of like laugh at, the ones that tell me to blank off, and I go, "Oh, "Okay, yeah,
Yep,
heard that
yep,
one too."
that
Been there.
too, and the stereotypical, like, get out thing that has
Yeah,
happened.
yeah,
Sometimes I just don't wanna talk, and, I respect that.
yeah. It's kind of you have to keep a straight face, but sometimes it's, it's so funny and looking at it again. It's
It's just
like,
like, "Oh, okay."
um, yeah, okay, I get that. Boy, that one's pretty pissed off at me. I don't know what.
Yeah,
Woke up on the wrong side of the bed or something.
something, yeah.
Yeah, it happens. Have have you ever been in a forest that was haunted or anything like that?
In a forest?
Mm-hmm.
I live in, like, Appalachia, so,
I was
like, the
gonna say, I feel like
woods.
you've had to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the woods here are, like all everywhere in the woods. I've had so many weird experiences in the woods. It's just haunted all around. The Appalachian Mountains are incredibly old. Um and there's a lot of like spiritual energy here. And like I've seen some weird things in the woods. So, yeah, I saw my husband and I were out hiking on the Appalachian Trail at one point, and we saw what looked like a dog and like just kind of sitting there at the other like across from us, like across the little clearing from us. And we were just like, huh, like somebody's dog, no big deal. And so we're circling around and we kind of get closer to where it is, and all of a sudden it's gone and there's a tree stump there. But like the tree stump didn't look anything like a dog. Like it wasn't, the dog had, like, we could very clearly see its features. It had pointed ears, like, and the tree stump was a rounded, small tree stump.
Seeing an update there.
So yeah, it didn't look anything like, it wasn't like we just mistook the tree stump for a dog, because it looked
Yep.
nothing like it. And it was so weird. I also had an experience where I was driving into work, and I have to drive through a pretty wooded, secluded area in Appalachia to get to work. And I literally saw something in the rearview mirror, like, rush up behind the car, and there were no other cars on the road because it was really early in the morning. And I was like shocked because I thought a car came out of nowhere on this long stretch of road where there was no like way it could have happened. And I was like, what the heck? And I looked behind me in the rearview mirror and there was nothing there. And I looked up toward the tree line, and it was like this clear, this is probably the weirdest thing I've ever seen. It was this like clear, like humanoid figure, but it was clear, like you could see through it, like literally, and this sounds ridiculous, it looked like it was swinging through the trees like a monkey. And I know that sounds absolutely ridiculous, but that is genuinely one of the weirdest things I've ever seen. And it scared me. It like scared the out of me. I got this feeling like something was chasing me, and I wanted to just floor it to work. But in Appalachia, there's this rule that is, if you see it, no, you didn't. So you have to basically pretend like you didn't see anything, because if it knows that you saw it, it's gonna follow you. So I just pretended I didn't see it, and I drove to work, and my heart was about to beat out of my chest the entire time I was driving, but I made it there. Nothing else ever happened with that situation. But that was incredibly creepy. I've also seen huge dark figures, again, the peeking around behind trees or stepping behind trees or hearing weird noises or hearing footsteps, all that kind of stuff. And just in general, there's always a vibe like you're being watched. And the Appalachian woods are really, really creepy.
That could be the sign of a Bigfoot too.
Yeah, I've wondered about that. I have definitely wondered about that, because the thing that I saw step behind the tree, it also was on another part of the Appalachian Trail. I was with my husband and one of our best friends, and we were just walking around on the trail, and we got to this monument, and we were just kind of hanging out by the monument. And my husband and our friend aren't, again, as I've said, they're skeptics. So they were just like saying creepy stuff to try to freak me out. And as they were doing that, they were over by the monument, just kind of goofing off, whatever. And I'm sitting there at a bench that was set up, and I looked over and I saw this, like, it had to be like 7 or 8 feet tall, dark figure that looked like a person step behind a tree. And I was just like, hey guys, I'm tired. Let's leave. But I've told that story, and some people are like, it could have been a ghost, it could have been a Bigfoot, it could have been, I don't know what, but it was creepy. Some of the weirdest things I've seen. What was that?
To say in your area it could almost be anything.
Exactly. Yeah. like we have some weird cryptids and stuff out in the Appalachian area. Like we have Mothman.
There's a lot of there's a lot of urban legends, a lot of rules. Like, you hear your name, no, you didn't.
Yep.
You're whistling, don't whistle back.
Exactly.
But
never
just
whistle in the woods.
About them in that area will bring them out. So they have to realize that you got to be careful what you talk about, right? Because it could call them and bring them up to view. And you say, what did you say about me? They could be doing that. And then you say, we should have done that.
Yep, exactly. That's why I'm usually pretty careful talking about it. It's creepy. It can be scary at times, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
What you wish for. That's the other thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because on that area, even with if there was an Indian, um, if there was Native Americans, you have to be careful what you wish for. You have to be careful who you talk about, what you talk about, and whatever else that's on your list, who, what, when, where, why, how, anything like that, because they will listen to you and they will come out and they will, like, okay, you told me to do this, okay, I'll do that. Like you said, no, 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 because it happens, right? It happens,
Yeah,
and they
yeah.
will come after, so you have to be very careful, especially in those old areas.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, and it's especially important to be just like really respectful of their
Yeah,
land, and
yeah.
it's hard because sometimes you don't necessarily know
Hmm.
that there was a site there,
Hmm.
or something, and then you'll learn it later and you're like, "Oh man, like I did not realize that, and this is how I was acting in this area." And I was like, "Man, now I feel bad and I understand why they're mad." So
It
Went
reminds me of Lake Shawnee, the abandoned amusement park.
Yeah,
yes. Yeah.
So they had a lot of mysterious deaths, even like people, the previous owners, I guess, were also murdered on there.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
said later on they also found out that on that same property, before the owners obviously bought it, turned it into the Lake Shawnee amusement park, there was an Indian burial ground.
Yeah.
yeah.
Not only
Yeah.
were people the family was tortured and killed on it, but
Yeah.
they found out there's an Indian burial ground later. So I'm like, yeah, that could also be part of the mysterious death.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Yeah, just
But-
that energy is
yeah.
it's like a lot of energy, like very, very
Yeah.
old energy, and like things have been happening there and so many other locations for like a very long time. And
But
half the
you
time we don't know.
But if you make something on the land that was protected by whatever, it's going to be bad juju that's going to happen later on in life, right?
They
So,
didn't know it
Yeah.
was an Indian burial ground until later. I forgot what they were doing. But I think they're digging up part of it, and all of a sudden they found evidence of it was an Indian burial ground before. So
Yeah.
that doesn't help the situation.
I mean,
That's
Yeah.
why. That's
calling
why.
for something nasty to happen. It's
Yeah.
just, you know, you get what you get what you get what you get, and nobody else is going to be sorry for your stupid ready ass for doing that.
Like
Yeah.
it's like just be careful, basically.
Yeah,
Try to be respectful
yeah,
anywhere you go.
Or just not get caught, Irene.
yeah. Oh, me, I'm always into trouble. Okay, talk about you,
That's
Terry.
what I
You're the one
told you.
who's in the
Just
most
don't
trouble.
get
You
caught.
stick your finger in the light socket every time. Me, I never get in trouble. No, no, no.
If you don't get caught, it never happened.
Yeah.
Nah, nah. He said I always have the angel here and I have the devil here. But doesn't everybody? But doesn't everybody have one of those?
I guess so, in a sense, yeah.
Um. Oh dear. I'm falling apart here.
Do you ever compare evidence with other investigators?
Yes, yeah. I have a good amount of friends in this field, and um usually like I'll find something and send it to them before
Mhm.
posting it and be like, "Hey, what do you think of this?" Or
Yeah.
and they'll do the same with me. And we try to help each other, like just like debunk things, and
Hmm.
also be like, "Hey, like help you notice things that you might not have noticed before."
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know I think that's a really important thing, is to like definitely collaborate with other
Mm.
investigators, not even always just on investigations, which
No.
that's great too, but
Yeah.
to have a group of people that you can trust to review your evidence, and you know see what they think about it.
Yeah.
I That's always good to have that trusted group because that I used to do that, and they also pointed out to me,
Hmm.
you they're like, "Well, there's a face over here." And that's just for some reason didn't catch it the first time. Like, "Do you see
Yep.
they're like, "It looks like a shadow of a person over here." I'm like, "Oh, I didn't even catch that in that."
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And
It
sometimes like
always
you'll hear
helps.
something. Yeah.
Yeah. Isn't
But
that what?
you also have to make sure you trust whoever you send this to due
Yeah.
to the fact
Yeah.
in paranormal field,
Yeah.
there's so much unnecessary competition.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, there is. Yeah, 100%.
But I think being in the paranormal field is very small, okay, compared to other fields, and I think we have to stick together as a family to help each other out in any time that we need it, and to,
Yeah.
hey, can you help me with this, or can you help me with that? I can't do this alone. Can you show me what I need to do? And it's just asking for advice is it's there for your family, and you end up having a different family, and you're working with each other and helping each other out, and it's
Yeah.
just very important, right?
You gotta be careful who you show to, because as we were saying, there's a lot of
Yeah.
competition. So sometimes
Yeah.
people want to know just
Yeah.
to kind of bring you down, or to make
Yeah.
sure they feel like their evidence was better than
Yep.
Yeah.
yours at that location.
Yeah.
And I say this just because let's say we all investigated this. The three of us investigated different nights to the same location. We're all
Yep.
gonna have
Different things.
different experiences, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
you're gonna have good nights. You're gonna have bad nights
Yeah.
at any location.
Yeah.
Just because
Yeah.
I had a bad night and Allie had a good night doesn't mean she's had it better than me. It just
No.
means
Yeah.
it's just like I don't want to talk.
Yeah.
Or you might go back, like I had a great night, and
Yeah.
then not get anything that night, or I had a bad night, get something better the next time. It's a hit and miss, because they
Yeah.
were once
Yeah.
human. So it's like it's one of those. How much do they feel like?
Mm.
And how much do they feel like
Yeah.
interacting with anyone that night?
and
It's like
and
humans
you
in
gotta
general.
understand that some spirits attract a certain person, and they don't attract others, right? So it's just
Sometimes
different.
sometimes they get tired of also
Yeah.
a lot of
like
places, a lot of
like
investigators are like, "Oh,
uh,
another
Yeah.
night of what's your name?
And it's like I
How
told
old?"
the last 500 people the same thing.
yeah. Like,
Sometimes they're
yeah,
just like,
yeah,
"Oh,
yeah. Like, that's going on, right? It's just unbelievable. Can I
he
tell her?
showed up
Can,
earlier. He showed up earlier. Terry stuck his
yeah.
face in.
I'm gonna tell one little story that I think it's funny, but Amanda had to hide her head. We went on a on a aircraft carrier, very old aircraft carrier in
Oh,
Texas, and they had the hots for Amanda. 'Cause and they said, I like her. I want to date her. And I said, sorry, guys, you can't date her. I said, you guys, you're a spirit, you can't do that. And they said, well, it doesn't matter, like you asking her to date her and go out with her. I said, you guys, and it was kind of funny, but it was like, gee whiz, okay, we're gonna do this throughout this whole investigation. Apparently, we did. Like, it,
That'll
it
happen
was
sometimes.
it was hilarious. But Amanda said, no, 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 no. But they can turn out really funny. They can be really hilarious. Like, they can be really funny too. So you
Oh
have
yeah.
to take. You have to.
Do you
I had to
ever
laugh too.
do you ever smell electrical wire burning with ghosts or something around? Um, I don't. I have not had that experience. What about you
No.
guys?
Mm-mm.
I
Yeah.
electrical wires. Sometimes people say they smell like the sulfur or rotten
Yeah.
Yeah.
eggs, and that's supposed to be a sign of a demon if you smell that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I smelled
So that's what you're
smoke.
referring to? Yeah.
Yeah. I smell
Smoke.
smoke too. If it was a place that burnt down and people died, yeah, you can smell smoke, but
Yeah.
you don't necessarily smell electrical wire. I have never had that.
Yeah, I don't know about electrical specifically, but I definitely smelled like smoke or like there was a fire, but there wasn't anything
Yeah.
that I could see.
Yeah.
Um so that was weird. I've also
Yeah.
smelled like perfume
Hmm.
and
I've
and stuff
smelled
like that.
perfume. I've walked
Yeah.
into a room. I've walked into a room, and it's supposed to be like it was a old retirement house.
Yeah.
Here of a girl in her room, a woman in her room. I walked in. I was the only woman in this group at the time. I also don't wear anything. I mean, besides obviously deodorant.
Yeah.
Because I always make sure I don't have any scent on me other than that, so not
Mhm.
to interfere. If people say I smell this, and it turns out it's your fruity lotion or the spray you put on. So I'm not wearing anything. So with also me being only woman, when I
Mhm.
walked in and I got hit in the face with perfume, I'm like, this is
Mhm.
Yeah.
not mine.
Yeah, that's always wild when that happens.
Or
Yeah.
Especially it's like out
a
of
really
nowhere.
old place, you smell lavender, right? The
Yeah.
room would smell like lavender, like an old house. I went to an old house, and it was on a property where they have this old, like, old people living in the olden days in the Victorian era, and I smelled lavender like really strong upstairs, and it was a lady who lived in that house a long time ago, and she had lavender all over her house, and that's why the house smells like lavender even to this day. It's
Wow.
really powerful. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
well, I
cool.
got what happened with me to get when I smelled it is there was a group of guys trying to communicate with her, but she just wasn't feeling them, and I kind of understood this energy wise. I already
Yeah.
knew
Yeah.
they weren't gonna get. I was like, they're not gonna be feeling you, so she wasn't. She's already. I could feel she's getting tired of them, so I'm like, hey guys, why don't you guys you don't have any luck? Why don't you go try another room? Just trying to get them out. Like, why don't you just go try another room? So I got them out, and then I walked in. I got hit in the face with her perfume, and I heard a woman's voice say, "Thank you."
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, she's
Like,
like, thanks for getting them out of here.
Yeah.
I started laughing and being like, "What?" Like I literally, it was you could just hear her say, "Thank you." I
Yeah.
started laughing.
Wow.
I was like,
So,
"Yeah, I just felt like something was
yeah.
going." I'm like, "Yeah, guys, just go to another room."
Take a
Yeah.
break. Take a break, guys.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yeah.
"Hey, why don't you go try another room? You're not getting evidence. Let's just go try just try another room, okay?
Yeah.
Just
Yeah. 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 Sometimes certain spirits just aren't feeling it.
And they wonder, how come you got evidence? How come I didn't get evidence? Well,
sometimes it's your energy. Sometimes
yeah.
me, and it might not be anything wrong with you, but it might be like I'm not vibing. It's like when you meet
Yeah.
someone, you're like, there's nothing wrong with them. I just don't vibe with them. Same
Yeah.
thing with spirits. They may
Yep.
not
Or
vibe with
it
you, or
could be they don't like guys too, it could be that
yeah.
also, that they only like women. And yeah, it could be guy girl thing too, so
Yeah. Yeah.
you
Some are gonna
That's
like you, some don't. Some are just not gonna care for you, and some are gonna love you. It's just you
yeah.
never.
Yeah, exactly.
You could have reminded them of someone in past who are like, nah, not you.
yeah.
Mhm.
Not there anything wrong with you. They just don't. They're not vibing with you for whatever reason.
Yep, it happens for sure. There are a lot of spirit, and then there are the spirits who just usually really don't like really dislike specific types of people. Like there was at Penhurst there was a spirit named King who really dislikes like large men because he feels like not, I don't know if he feels intimidated, but he feels like he wants to fight them.
Mm,
And we usually get pretty aggressive, and that happened to my group. Um it's so that happens too. Um it's just, I mean, I feel like spirits are, they're people too. We just can't always
yeah.
see them.
Yeah.
And you're going to have people with different personalities, different,
Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
like yeah, exactly.
And you're gonna find people with different cultures, and yeah, it's it they all react in a different way with different people, right? And it's just
Yeah.
different colored skin and everything else, and they'll probably look at you differently, or they'll interact with you differently too, especially
Yeah.
in you get a whole bunch of areas like that. Do you find that I'm going to ask you the same questions that I usually ask a lot of other people, that people who are put in these asylums, really some probably could see spirits, and they were thrown in the asylum because they thought they were crazy, and I think that's really sad
That was
because
Yeah.
the
yeah,
theory for way back when with people with
yeah,
psychic abilities or what was it, clairvoyant was. they were in a mental institution. That was the theory for back in the day for some of
Yeah,
them. Maybe some of them weren't crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
they had
I'm sure
lobotomies
that
done.
happened.
They had shock treatment, lobotomies, and everything else happened to them because they could see things. And guess what? In an institution, you could see a lot too, because I think a lot of people died
A
too in
lot
that
of
era
things
also.
happen. Yeah.
So yeah, the more you get put in a place that you could see more, the worse it gets, I think. And
Yeah.
the more you could see, and I think it just they called them crazy, and I don't think they were. I think they were just they didn't know how to. They didn't have anybody to help them talk about what you're seeing is probably what you do see, and you know and how to help you with it, what you're seeing, because a lot of times I think a lot of people do see a lot of things, and they think they're going crazy, right? So they take
Yeah.
a lot of medication and stuff like that to combat what they're seeing, and they still see it, and the medication doesn't work, so they get thrown in an institution, right?
Yeah. Yeah. That's
and
really
i,
sad in
I
general.
think that happens even to this day, I think so too,
It
in
probably does.
certain countries, because being able to see things, not everybody can see it, but you do have the ability to see it, but not everybody will accept seeing it, right? So
Yeah.
it happens to the worst of it. It happens to the most nicest of us people, right? So I think it's really hard, even as a child, like you growing up as a child, being seeing things like that. Nobody really coached you, or nobody, not coaching, but really took your side and say, hey, it's okay if you see something, right?
Yeah.
And don't be afraid of it. If you don't want to see it, don't look at it, or just ignore it.
Yeah.
But I think I think a child has the worst back end of everything because they said, Mom, I saw, that thing there. And Mommy said, you're just, yeah, that's just nothing there. Or that's probably your imaginary friend. And they said, no, it's not,
It's
it's,
like, no.
it's right there. Like, yeah, my kid was like that too. And I said, Mom, I saw something. Oh, really? Did you? And he goes, yeah. And I said, oh, okay. What did you look like? And I asked him to explain what it looked like wanting to show him that I support him and support your child if you do see something, and they'll say, you're dreaming, and like that's the worst thing you can say, right?
Yeah.
I,
Yeah.
I think they have enough trouble as it is.
Yeah, exactly, and, like, kids are especially sensitive to stuff like that too.
Yeah, yeah,
So it's just definitely a hard time of a
yeah.
person's life in general, and then
Growing
especially
up is hard enough as it is.
Yeah,
When you're able to see things that go bump in the night, I think it puts a double whammy on you, right?
yeah, yeah.
Um, what would you suggest for people who really want to um do what you do, or join, or be a part of what you're doing?
Yeah, I would definitely suggest doing a lot of research, making sure that you know how to properly spiritually protect yourself and
Mm-hmm.
cleanse.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and also just again, remember that when you're talking to spirits, you should be speaking to them as if they were living people.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of people, see stuff on TV and then they go in and start antagonizing spirits and provoking and things like that when it's just so unnecessary. And like it's just keep in mind it's not like how it is on TV.
Yeah.
Um try to form your own experiences. Go in there. It's the goal should be ultimately to communicate, right? And
Mm-hmm.
communication works
Mm-hmm.
with spirits just like it does with living people, and just to keep that in mind and make sure to always be respectful. I think those are the most important parts, and always be sure to do research on the locations that you go to,
Mm-hmm.
because it's important to understand the context of what the people who may be still there will have gone through, and
Yeah.
some subjects it might be best to avoid,
Yeah. Yeah.
or to be careful with, at
You don't
Yeah.
least.
want to relive it either.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't want to
Yeah.
re-traumatize anyone,
No.
especially if they're still at a place where a lot of trauma happened to them.
Yep.
So just basically, all in all, make sure you're being careful and be respectful. Those are probably the most important parts.
And I still think there's not enough women in this field because I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think
It's becoming more. I think more women are getting involved, but unfortunately,
yeah,
as someone said before on our show, that the
yeah,
men get the credit first.
yeah,
Yep. Yeah. And a lot of
yeah,
times the men will pretend like they want to collab with
mhm,
women just
yeah.
because they have other
They
motives.
want something for you. They know you got something, and that's what they want, right?
Yeah. So
And when
I've
they take
definitely
it,
had
they
that.
say bye bye. You know, it's like
I think
Yeah.
we've all experienced the men reaching out to collab,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
definitely have to be careful.
Yeah. Definitely important to be careful in
you
this
know.
field.
And a lot of men say that women are too sensitive. Well, that's what being part of it is, being sensitive, right?
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Being sensitive is not a bad thing in general, but like
No,
especially like in this field, it's important to be empathetic and to
yeah.
yeah.
I think we could have the upper hand in that area, but I don't know. It's just that a lot of people think that women get scared, but yeah, we can get scared, but I mean, we can also be strong too, because if we can push out a watermelon out of our body part, we can be strong too. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I mean, I've
And
seen my share of guys in paranormal investigations scream like a little girl and run out. So I feel like everybody can get scared.
That's what I was gonna say. I'm like, hey man, if you're trying to tell me that you see something get thrown across the room and no one was over there, you're trying to tell me you wouldn't be a little scared?
Yeah, like seriously, scare me too. I mean, so I feel like it's valid for anybody to get scared in this field because
I'm sorry,
it's
I'm laughing my guts out. This is so funny. But yeah, I can imagine seeing that guy. Something happened. You would set up the screen for that, right? And you see something fall off the counter, or see something being thrown across the room, and they go, ah!
oh, just go on TV, you'll see it.
Yeah, and it's so
And
funny.
try to claim that they're gonna be brave during an investigation. The
Yeah,
second they hear a noise, they run out and everyone's like, "What?"
Yeah, it's like go towards it.
listen, I ain't going back in there. Why not? Because I'm not going back in there. Oh shoot,
Yeah. Yeah. And it's like there's nothing wrong with getting scared at all for like
No,
Yeah.
no,
anybody.
no.
But like it's funny when people try to act like they are, more tough than other people, but in
Yeah,
reality, everyone gets scared.
yeah, yeah. I mean, depends on what is scared. Like, depending on what your example of scared is, right? And
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
course, that's gonna freak everyone else out, right? Of course,
Yeah.
what you do freaks people out. Of course, this is what we do. We're kind of like we do things the dark way.
Yeah. Yeah.
We like things that go bump in the night. Of course not, right?
Yeah. And it's like I definitely recommend trying not to run away screaming.
Yeah.
I mean, I understand like at first whenever you first get into it, but like
Mhm.
at a certain point, like try
Certain
to
points.
push that fear down so you can stay in communication. Cause just imagine if you were talking to somebody and then they're like, hey, can you say something? And you're like, hi, and then they run away screaming. That would be confusing for you. So it's probably
They're
confusing for the
like, yeah,
spirits.
they're like, "Well, that was rude. You said, hey, can you say something?' I did, and you took off."
Yeah, exactly.
And some spirits will get really angry if you scream, run away, because they'll come after that person, and they will try to do something to that person. if they scream or if they run away because they
Yeah.
got you pegged right. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
Doesn't mean it's gonna. It just because something makes itself known it's there doesn't mean it's there to hurt you or
Exactly.
you
Yeah.
yeah.
gotta. And it
So
comes to the point where people are just like, I've seen so much stuff that I'm not even surprised anymore. It doesn't scare me.
yeah,
You
That's
see things falling off the wall, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, that's kind of where I'm at. I've gotten kind of desensitized to a lot
yeah,
of
like you
stuff. I
just
don't get scared that easily anymore,
yeah,
but I still do sometimes. I mean,
yeah. It,
sometimes things
it
happen that are just scary.
or if the hair on your arm stands up, yeah, that's about is it. Okay, I'm done.
Yep.
Okay, I get
you know what's gonna be. I've been saying this recently. You know what's gonna be really confusing? I mean,
Mhm.
everyone. I'm sure, especially Allie, you've probably seen the newest like TikTok trends where people identify as cats and they're meowing, or they're the alpha wolf and they're growling or
Yeah.
howling. I'm like, can you imagine if something happened to those people and they became ghosts and you just go in there and like say something and it's like someone who identified as alpha wolf all of a sudden starts howling.
Or you just walk into a room and someone's like, meow. Like you hear a human voice saying meow.
Oh gosh.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
Uh Getting to the ridiculous part of it, right?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm kind of worried about that, especially the Alpha Wolf one, because everyone's like, "Is this a demon? What a weird growl!"
And it's like, no, it wasn't.
Oh no, that was my stomach growling because I'm hungry, right? Oh dear.
That's why some
But
people say like they make sure everyone has a recorder, so in case someone's stomach does make a noise, they can throw out that evidence. Like, oh, I heard
Yeah.
this. Oh, okay, it's just Steve's stomach grumbling. It's okay. Throw it out.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always good to mark your recorders if like anything like that happens. Just be like, that was so and so stomach growling, not an EVP.
Move on.
oh
It's
dear.
like, darn, I know.
And not everything a growl would be a negative spirit either, because things that go bump in the night can do make certain noises, and
Yeah.
it can be, we don't know.
Yep. I
The
mean, I've
part,
heard
the thing is
growls.
that the things that we don't know. And if we don't know, we don't know. We can't make conclusions out of it, and we can't say what it was because we still don't know, right?
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. That is
And
true.
and that's why I think we have. That's why we're in this deep, and we want to know more and more and more. The more things that come up, we want to know more answers. And I don't know if we'll ever get that area. You're right.
That's true. Yeah. I feel like we're not gonna really ever know everything, you
Mm,
know? A lot of the questions we have now, we will not find out until we have passed on into the spiritual
There's always so
world.
many theories on the paranormal.
Yeah.
It's like that people. It's interesting because people don't get along on them because they're like, well, they don't believe what I believe, and I'm like, well, how do you know you're even right on your that belief? There's
Yeah.
no way to even tell because like, well, scientists proved on this, well, scientists also proved on what they're saying too. We don't. At least
Yeah.
that's what they're claiming, anyways.
Yeah, it's
So
all based on theory.
yeah.
yeah,
So,
Even
yeah.
I
the medical doctor that we had on, remember Amanda?
yeah.
That even he said that too, because we don't. He said we still don't know, and and there's a lot of things out there that I don't think it's just impossible to theorize on anything on this.
Possible, truly no. I am waiting for the day where someone gets evidence where they say make a noise if you hear and you hear ooh ooh.
Yes. It's just like,
Or
oh.
someone also made a good point. Like, I'm waiting for like the 2000 ghost when you say what's your name and you hear it's Brittany, bitch.
Yes. I was talking to another podcast recently where I was talking about like how in the future, the ghosts are gonna be like, what people are like today. And somebody's gonna walk into the room, they're gonna be like, I just saw a kid doing a Fortnite dance and then he said yeet and he disappeared. And like,
I've been waiting for
that
this.
is terrifying. Like,
I would think that's cool, you know.
No, it's confusing when when you're so used to like the older 1800, 1900 ghosts. All of a sudden, you see someone doing a Fortnite dance, and then
yeah.
they disappear.
They're just like, what did I just witness?
It's just different, you know.
You're like, am I going crazy? This actually happened.
I
Well,
hope I got that on camera.
yes. Well, you guys, I'm so sorry to have to do this, but I actually have to go now, but I've had an amazing time having this
Oh, thank
discussion
you
with
so
you
much
all.
for joining
Thank
us.
you
We'd
so
love to
much.
have you again on the future. And everyone
Yeah.
who watched, thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next time. Bye for now.
Bye.